Christian, but that tower's not there anymore.
And these unjust wars, excuse me, these unjust wars in Iraq and other parts of the Middle East that have caused so much innocent bloodshed of innocent Arab Muslim people and even U.S. soldiers who were just over there, you know, called for duty, doing what they had to do. Their poor wives and children over here in American soil never got to see them. It's caused a lot of innocent bloodshed on both sides, even innocent civilians. The majority of innocent civilians were good, innocent, true Muslim people that believe in peace and righteousness, just like true Christians, that were killed and bombed, their houses being bombed and killed, caught up in the crossfire of this unjust war and all that prejudice that rose up after this time. I had an ex-girlfriend who was Indian, and she got dirty looks because so many Americans can't tell the difference between Indians and Arabs. And even if she was Arab, you know, you're gonna generalize Arab, Muslims, or whatever color Muslims with terrorism because of this one thing. This is how they manipulate and even create hatred and prejudice towards Muslims. Just like we talked about in the previous segment, you know, subliminal hatred or prejudice towards Christians, generalizing all Christians instead of some Christians. You know, true Muslims are not terrorists, but they make us think that they are through propaganda, through mind control. These so-called prejudice terms like raghead or towelhead, you know, they don't realize that the turban is a spiritual thing. Even with true original Christians, the true Ethiopian Orthodox Christians and the first Hebrew Israelites and the original Jews, just like Muslims, wore that same attire. The turban is a very spiritual thing, and that's just an ignorant comment to make. I feel sorry for all the true Muslims over here in America around that time. Even today, people still jump the gun, and they can just bring up 9/11 to rejuvenate that so-called hatred and prejudice. You see, people don't do their research, you know, so-called Christians. That the original first century Christians, the first Messianic Hebrew Israelites and Messianic Jews, just like Rastafari brethren, especially the Ababa Shanti Rastafari, that wear the turban over their head. You know, that's a very spiritual thing. And once again, going back to the actual images, or the horrifying image of this collapse, is a very horrible thing. There's no doubt about that. There's no way to rationalize how horrible it really was, and how horrible it, even 10 years later, it still is. But you look on behalf of the majority over the past 8-9 years of innocent victims, U.S. soldiers and people in the Middle East that were innocent victims caught up in this unjust war for money and power, establishment, for land and oil. Why? Because America has to find some other resources to keep their money going. Our country is so far in debt. That's why in this past 9 years since the collapse of these towers, a major source or central source of our economical metropolis, has caused this gradual downfall of our economy. And especially now, in the year 2010, under this so-called recession and stimulant plan by our new president. But my point is this: how long will it take for more people to wake up and stop being sheepish in this nation?
Of the World Trade Center, we understand that one of the Twin Towers has collapsed entirely.
Now, this terrible event also gives fuel not just for unjust war, but to support Zionism and the oppression of Arab Muslim people and even true Israeli Jews who are actual Jews caught up in the mix. You know, it's a shame because in modern corporate Christianity, especially for the past couple of decades, have supported just the Israeli Jews. And really, the Ethiopian Jews have been there for centuries. But just now, certain forms of corporate Christianity is just now warming up to that. And what about the innocent majority of Arab Muslim people pushed out of their lands into ghettos and, parched lands, and even killed off, innocent people killed off by so-called Israeli soldiers? So both innocent Arab Muslims, Palestinians, and actual Israeli Jewish people who are of true Jewish descent are pushed off into the poor areas and victimized by propaganda and forms of terrorism on both sides. It seems like the world system has manipulated the masses of people to develop hatred and prejudice towards all the sons of Abraham, from the original Hebrew Israelites to the modern Hebrew-speaking Jews and Arabs, descendants of Ishmael, also seed of Abraham, and also the spiritual seed of Abraham, being spiritual Israel, that true body of Christ, or of the Moshiach, that being true Christians, or true Messianic believers, true Rastafari, Selassie, and true children of the Most High, Yahweh, Jah. So let us know our true enemies and come together as one. Selah.